Hello everyone, this is Sean Sims, host of The Outsiders, and I have breaking news. What's going on in Baltimore City? Gas mains, gas lines blowing up in the city. There's something going on, but I'm interviewing, and this is at his church office, and that is Pastor Alvin Gwynn Sr., and he's been a contractor and done all
60 years.
60 years, and we're going to talk about what happened and what's going on with BG&E, gas lines, pressure, that sort of thing. And Pastor Gwynn,
yes.
How are you doing today?
Doing fine.
Okay. With this explosion, and we talked about this. We actually talked about this about a week or so ago because The Outsiders were going to do a program on BG&E and the bigger lines that are already in the city, and the conduit control was given to BG&E. Baltimore's conduit was given to BG&E to have control of it, and then the smaller lines that run through the bigger lines, and you had some information for me, but then all of a sudden I find out this morning, boom, this explosion, and I said I have to get in touch with Pastor Gwynn and talk about this. But can you explain to the people exactly how does this sort of thing work?
First of all, let's see how we got to this point. BG&E wanted to provide service into the surrounding counties. In order to do that, they had to run a higher pressure line to force the gas out there. Mm-hmm. So what they did, they went to continuous high pressure gas lines on a coil. And in order to save money during a line of trenching, they decided to push the new high pressure coil lines inside of the old gas pipes. The old gas pipes work on low pressure, so they were bigger pipes because they work by volume. And what they've been doing is to save money and cost on digging up the streets and a lot of trenching was to shove the coil gas lines through the old gas line. But wow. They didn't take into consideration is that what happens if you get a leak inside of those old gas lines that were larger, and that gas line with old gas pipe will fill up with gas. Oh. And if you get any kind of ignition source, whether it be electrical or spark or somebody throws a cigarette butt down the drain, anything, you got a pipe bomb underneath your streets. Wow. Is what you wind up with. So my suggestion is, talking to Sean, is that they should, number one, investigate it. Mm-hmm. And number two, have an engineer look at the system that they got installed underground now, because in order to push the gas that far, they have to go to high pressure gas to get those clients they want to pick up in the county. I remember reading somewhere, I had to fact check and go back on it, but the engineers advised BG&E how costly it would be to push that gas line all the way out into the county. And most of it was because of the trenching and the cutting of the streets. Okay. Would be astronomical in cost. And that's why they went to the city and cut a deal to push a lot of the new gas lines through the existing low pressure pipe that were there. But you see the results that we're getting. Wow.
Because you did tell me, you said, Sean, you know what, there's going to be explosions because you have a large piping system, an older system, and if you run a smaller line continuously through it, and there's a leak,
you can't detect it till it fills up.
It just fills up that piping. It's not like if it's no piping there, it goes into the soil or wherever.
Essence, you wind up with one big pipe bomb.
Wow.
Under the street, a disaster waiting to happen.
Well, why?
Because somebody could be digging near that thing, and there's a leak in that pipe and hadn't been discovered yet, and some contractor's digging near it. Oh. If they get an ignition source from the equipment or something, you got a huge explosion underneath the streets is what you have.
And this is all over the city?
I know, it's right out here in front of my church on Lockway Boulevard. I watched them put it in, and I asked the foreman, I said, why are you fishing those continuous coil gas lines through these old pipes? And the answer was obvious, that they wanted to save cost, cut down on the cost of installation. But somebody didn't think about the safety factor. And I suggest that what they need to do is have engineers go back and inspect what they put in already, because what they have is the potential for just streets blowing up.
So with the city, because the mayor of the city Department of Transportation, Public Work, they're responsible to make sure anytime you're putting in lines and piping and gas and so on is involved, that their engineers prior to that, they're supposed to go over all of that with BG&E to make sure that the safety of the citizens, which is paramount, should be done. I mean, this is your opinion, but do you believe that?
But the question is,
that was done prior?
Ask yourself, did they do that?
Yes.
Same way you have these old gas meters inside the houses that were designed to handle low pressure coming in, and they didn't change those old gas meters out. What happened in Park Heights, those two houses, I mean, completely blew up.
Yes, I remember
and
that.
You had some other similar explosions also, simply because they never took the old gas meters out and put new ones in that could handle that pressure coming in. And to this day, I know there's a lot of houses still haven't had their meters changed out.
Well, let me ask you a question. With the control given over the Baltimore City's conduit system, BG&E, Mayor Scott, Brandon Scott, gave control with the Board of Estimates in a 3-2 vote. With a strong system, strong mayor system, he had control, the mayor had control of that board. And they gave the BG&E the control of the city's conduit system. So prior or after that control was given to BG&E, were those new lines then run through?
Well, you gotta look at this question. Did they have engineers do the evaluation first? To the safety part of it. Was that done first? Because I believe that may not be the responsibility of the city. They're not engineers. But BG&E is one doing the installation. They should hire the consulting engineer to look at the feasibility of what they were doing. Did that ever take place? I don't know. Is there engineering reports on it? I don't know.
Well, they need to be seen.
But what we're seeing now is explosions in homes, explosions in the streets, you know, and the one that happened within the last 24 or 30 hours that just happened downtown here. So I think somebody need to stop work or do something until they get this thing evaluated and find out what in the world's going on. But from my construction experience, I worked around low pressure gas and high pressure gas. They went to high pressure gas so you could shove that stuff all the way out into the county, pick up more clients. Nothing wrong with that. But somebody fell down when it came to the engineering of what they were doing, and the safety factor of what they were doing.
Well, you have the city solicitor, and she actually worked for BG&E at one time. And as the mayor of the city, you want to make sure your citizens are protected, and you definitely don't want lawsuits. So I would think, now this is just me, I would think that even though BG&E has their own engineers and so on, that if something was to happen, and these are your citizens, that you have your city solicitor, basically the mayor's attorney, and you would want to make sure that you go behind them because you've given them control of the conduit, but it's still the city's conduit, to make sure that this doesn't happen, you don't have explosions.
But what has to happen? You need to see, somebody needs to look at the contractual agreement between Baltimore City and BG&E and see where the liability lay in that contract. Who was responsible for installation, upkeep, you understand the whole safety factor itself. Should be worded in that contract before you decide who holds the liability and responsibility for these explosions.
Okay, I'm gonna ask to see that contract because this is serious business. If you've got basically a huge line of a large pipe with smaller pipe that can leak, hold in the gas, and have some type of any type of situation where you can have a flint light or cigarette light or something that could ignite this all throughout the city. Do you have any idea how much of the small piping may have been put through these larger piping?
Pretty much a lot of it. But the whole thing is that low pressure pipe, you know, I mean, because low pressure, there's less chance of it leaking.
Yes.
You follow me?
Because the pressure's lower.
Very, very low. But once you go to high pressure, it's a whole different ball game. Now, the high pressure line itself is a coil. continuous core. It's got hardly no fittings at all, except where the pipe stops or where it goes into some valve or something.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just, but the idea is, if you get any kind of leak in that high pressure, before you discover it, that old pipe conduit is going to be full of gas.
Wow.
You understand? It becomes a pipe bomb. And if it gets any kind of initial source at all, your whole street's going to blow up.
So there should be an investigation immediately.
Yes.
And engineers should get down there, and they should investigate, find out what's going on,
right,
and let the citizens of the city whose safety is at risk with these explosions. This is the last question, because I'm really curious.
I'm going to cut you off there, but another thing they look into is if they're going to keep that small line in that pipe, they need gas sensors installed inside that larger pipe. So if there is a gas leak, those sensors will give off.
So they should be all throughout the city?
Throughout that whole line that they fish the pipes through. They need sensors that will give off an alarm if there's a leak inside of them.
Well, we haven't checked. They didn't mention anything about having a sensor going off.
We don't know if they got sensors there at all. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If they don't have them, they should. If they're not there, they should have them. You understand?
That's
installed inside the larger pipe. So if the smaller lines leak inside there, they get an alarm that will go off, a system that will warn them, hey, you got a new line leaking inside the old one. And it can, where the sensor's located should come up on a computer so you know exactly where it is.
Would that be expensive to put in?
No.
Okay, so that's not even...
Shouldn't be, no.
And even if it was, you still have to make sure that people are safe.
I mean, the expensive part is when it blows up.
Oh. Well, and
as the street blows up, automobiles,
wow.
pedestrians...
This is dangerous. This is a seriously dangerous situation. And my last question, because I really need to know this. With this type of possibilities that exist because of the piping and the way they're being done, smaller and the larger, etc., how large can these explosions get?
Oh my God. You're talking about, you look at the old gas pipes, how big they are, because they were low pressure, they work on volume. The newer lines like a 4-inch or 5-inch round, there's something smaller than that. But they work on pressure. You understand? So you're talking about a pipe that could sit there and fill up with gas like crazy before it even gets an ignition point. You understand what I'm saying? The whole pipe could fill up before you get an ignition. That means the whole pipe's gonna blow.
So this could take out maybe a building or a block?
Take out blocks.
Blocks?
Yeah.
Wow. This has to be looked at immediately.
I would think so, yeah.
This definitely has to be looked at, and the Outsiders are going to keep on this. And thank you, Pastor Gwynn, for your time and what you've been doing. And of course, we're going to have that. We're going to have the mayoral forum on February the 1st here at Friendship Baptist Church, 6000 Lock Raven Boulevard. But the Outsiders, we're going to stay on this, and we're going to call a task. BG&E and the mayor, city solicitor, DOT, DPW, all of you, because this should not be happening. Take care. This is Sean Sims, host of The Outsiders. God bless.